One hidden village, completely cut off from the modern world, where people had never even seen helicopters before, and two twin children, whose birth was destined to change the entire world forever. The story begins on a terrifying stormy night. Lightning keeps flashing across the sky. Heavy rain covers the entire village, and inside a small house, a woman screams in pain. She was giving birth. An old village woman tells everyone to stay outside because the situation had become very dangerous. After a few moments, the cry of a baby echoes through the house. Everyone thinks the child has finally been born. But suddenly the old woman's expression changes completely. She looks terrified and says, "There's still another child left." A few moments later, the second baby is born. But the strange thing was, the first child was born during the night, while the second was born after sunrise. The villagers see this as a mysterious omen. They begin whispering to each other. These children are not normal. They were born for a reason. The story then moves several years into the future. Now we see a boy named Yuru. He was hunting in the mountains. A bow rested in his hands, and his aim was so perfect that he could easily shoot a bird flying from far away. His friend Danji was with him. Danji laughs and says, "You always wander around these mountains alone? Don't you ever get scared?" Yuru smiles and replies, "As long as right and left are protecting us, there's nothing to fear." Suddenly both of them look toward the sky. Far away, strange flying objects could be seen releasing smoke into the air. Danji nervously whispers, "Dragon gas." Since they had never seen helicopters before, they believed they were dragons. Yuru keeps staring at them for several seconds. For some reason, he starts feeling uneasy. The two boys then return to the village. The village looked ancient and mysterious, almost like it existed outside the modern world. There were no cars, no electricity, nothing modern at all. Everyone still lived the old traditional way. The villagers smile the moment they see Yuru because he was loved by everyone. An old man tells him, "You're just as brave as your father once was." But Yuru simply smiles quietly. He barely remembered anything about his parents. After that, Yuru goes to meet his sister Asa. But the moment he enters the room, he sees Asa locked inside a wooden cage. Yet strangely, Asa wasn't afraid at all. She smiles warmly and says, "You're late again." Yuru laughs and hands her some food. The two siblings quietly sit together and talk. Asa asks him, "Is the outside world really that big?" Yuru smiles and answers, "I don't know, but if I ever get the chance, I'll show it to you myself." It was a very emotional moment because it was obvious how much the twins cared about each other. But at the same time, the old village woman watches them from a distance. Worry could clearly be seen on her face. It felt as if she already knew something terrible was coming. A little later, a man named Dara arrives at the village. He often brought supplies from the outside world, which made the villagers nervous around him. His clothes looked completely different from everyone else's. Danji excitedly asks him, "What is the outside world like?" Dara smokes quietly before replying, "So big that you can't even imagine it." But Yuru had no interest in leaving the village. He calmly says, "I like this place the way it is." Dara looks at him and slightly smiles, almost as if he knew something that Yuru didn't. Suddenly, the entire sky begins shaking with loud sounds. This time, the dragon gas were much closer than before. The villagers immediately panic. Children start crying. Everyone looks toward the sky in fear. And then, Somewhere far away, a magical barrier suddenly shatters. Moments later, multiple helicopters appear directly above the village. The peaceful village instantly turns into chaos. Armed soldiers begin descending from the helicopters. Without warning, they start firing at the villagers. Bang, bang, bang. People scream and run in every direction. Within seconds, the once peaceful village becomes a battlefield. Yuru stands there completely shocked. He couldn't even understand what was happening. Suddenly, Danji's mother screams, "They're here for Yuru! Run!" Yuru and Danji immediately rush toward a secret path. Meanwhile, a blonde girl wearing a red hoodie slowly steps out from one of the helicopters. A creepy smile covers her face. She doesn't even look human. She casually walks through the terrified villagers and quietly says one word: "Gobble." Suddenly, a giant demon appears behind her. Its massive mouth begins devouring people alive. The village quickly becomes covered in blood. Everyone screams in terror. But the blonde girl only laughs. A little girl trembling in fear asks, Are you a monster?" The blonde girl stares at her for several seconds, then smiles and says, "I don't eat children." Meanwhile, Dara fights against the soldiers. He carries both a gun and a machete. One by one, he takes down multiple enemies alone. Finally, Yuru reaches Asa. But the moment he arrives, the ground beneath him feels like it disappears. A mysterious woman stands before him. And inside the cage, Asa lies covered in blood. Yuru freezes in shock. Then the mysterious woman smiles and says, "Why are you so scared? I am the real Asa." Filled with rage, Yuru immediately fires an arrow at her. But the woman destroys the entire wall with a powerful blast. Now Yuru is completely confused. He no longer knows what the truth is. At that moment, the dying old woman whispers to him, "Run away now." But Yuru wanted answers. At the same time, Dira rushes toward him and gives him a glowing green pendant. He says, "If you want to survive, place this between right and left." Yuru immediately runs toward the giant statues. He places the pendant between them, but nothing happens. Suddenly, Dira smashes Yuru's face against the stone. Blood drips onto the pendant. And in the very next moment, the entire ground begins shaking violently. The right and left statues finally awaken. Two giant golden demons emerge from within them. Their roar shakes the entire sky. Then they immediately attack the helicopters. Boom! Within seconds, the helicopters are destroyed. For the first time, the blonde girl looks terrified. The smile on her face completely disappears. And then, right and left slowly turn toward Yuru and say, "Master." Dara smiles slightly and quietly says, "Now they belong to you."